Yeah, welcome into the Wednesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Hope everybody's off to a great start this morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We got a lot going on the program today. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us in the second half of the program. We'll get into all things Titans with him. March Madness is here. We're going to break down the big win for Howard last night for the next 3 hours as well. So big stuff from Howard last night. Rexrode, good morning. How we doing?
First win in Howard history. Just saying.
Get excited.
Good game. Yeah. And Will Wade, you're out. You can do whatever you're going to do there with LSU or whatever. I don't know.
Will, have fun.
Yeah, we'll miss you, Will. Such a likable guy.
Yeah, very much so. So Howard wins yesterday. Texas wins yesterday. We'll get into that here in just a few minutes. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Doing just fine. Thanks. Still a little chilly out there. Watched a few minutes of UMBC and Howard with the fam first half. And then kept an eye on the Preds, but doing good. Thanks. Happy Wednesday, folks.
Happy Wednesday to everyone. Big win for the Preds last night. They win in a shootout against the Winnipeg Jets. And not only did they win, but Seattle lost. And that sets up a big game Thursday. Preds are now 2 points back of the Kraken when it comes to the final wild card spot in the Western Conference. Seattle lost 6-2 last night to Tampa Bay. So you got LA at 71 points, San Jose at 71 points. Preds are up to 69 now. They get into overtime last night. Yeah, thanks. Jonathan Toews scoring a goal with about a minute left in regulation. And it was like, oh, boy. Preds were up 3-2. Jonathan Toews scores. And then in overtime, Joe, they had Forsberg miss a wide-open net. They had Brady Shea flub a puck on a 2-on-1. They had Brady Shea miss another one that was about 15 feet wide over the top of the net. And when they didn't score in overtime, I was like, oh, boy. They had about 3 or 4 opportunities there to win it. They did not do it, but they get the winner in overtime. It was a beautiful goal by Ryan O'Reilly in the shootout, and that is a large win for the Nashville Predators last night, setting up a big game at home on Thursday against the Kraken, Joe.
Hey, good, hanging in there, good for them. You gotta be impressed with them being able to keep fighting, and you got Forsberg with a goal and assist.
Yep.
Matthew Wood get you a goal, so to be able to still end up winning that game when you had so many opportunities to take care of it and get the 2 points, that's good for them, man.
Well, and this has probably not been talked about enough, but I mean, look, Matthew Wood is 21 years old. And he's going to be flirting with a 20-goal season in his first year. Now, I don't know if he's going to get there or not. He's at 15, so there ain't been 15 games left, so he's probably not going to get right to 20. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's 18, 19, somewhere in that neighborhood. Like, he's got a chance here, and he's playing really well. So, I mean, look, if you'd have told me before the season that the rookie was coming in and he's going to finish with a 20-goal year, I'd take that all day. So I feel like that's it. We're seeing some signs of really good stuff from Matthew Wood in his first season here.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the really good stories, and the way Evangelista has played this year, there's a couple good individual stories of that sort of middle ground that is largely empty for them, between the veterans and the young kids that they hope are good.
Yeah, for sure.
His goal last night was nice.
It was real nice. Yeah. I mean, he just kind of waited it out, picked the corner there.
Little deke pullback, and then top shelf on Hellebuck. Short side.
That's American hero Connor Hellebuck that he scored on too. So that's good stuff there. I mean, every time Hellebuck made I think it was a couple saves last night. I was just like, hey, look at that guy. He's still making American hero saves out there. Just good stuff. I'll always love that guy from here on out.
Yeah. Are they okay with him in Winnipeg yet?
Probably
good?
Not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
It'll be all right.
They'll be fine. So big win for the Preds, and that sets up a large game tomorrow, and we will be all over that. But Preds and Kraken coming up tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. Joe, what did you make of the first 4 games last night with Howard taking down UMBC and then Texas taking down NC State in the matchup of potential 11 seeds?
Yeah, well, Howard controlled it. Then UMBC, of course, of beating Virginia, the first 16-over-1 fame, UMBC, made it a game, got close, but Howard was a better team. Their reward is now you get to go play Michigan in Buffalo. So
have fun with that.
Yeah, congratulations. You get to head northeast to Buffalo and play Michigan. So, but I mean, those games to me for the 16s, I mean, those are that's one of the reasons I like the first four. Like if the first four went away, I don't think anybody would be that upset about it. And of course, what they're trying to do is they're trying to give us full, Tuesday and Wednesday games with this expanded tournament, which I think is a terrible idea. But the one thing about the first four that I like is that the 16 seeds, they get a chance to win games and they get the window all to themselves. That may not be a big deal for the 11s. The 11s are pretty much always, not always, but for the most part, they're Power 5 teams, that are 11s are usually just bad Power 5 teams, right? Who barely get in the tournament. And again, we don't need to go any lower than this. We do not. I guess we probably will, but we don't need to. But for the 16s, I think it's cool that they get that window by themselves.
I can't wait till the 24 seeds are playing. It's gonna be awesome. Wow, battle of 24 seeds.
Well, I mean, I think I don't remember who did it. It might have been Kevin Sweeney from SI, but he did the. If this was a 76 team tournament, here's our matchups. It's like, oh, good. Let's have Auburn play, Indiana. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Both of those fan bases don't want to watch their team anymore. They hate their team. But
that's true.
No, I mean, seriously, even some of the lower seeds that are in this tournament, it's like, look, I think I said this last week. I could see some fatigue from Vols fans based on. And again, it's a good team. It's not a great team. It's not as good as the recent teams, but it's like, this team's kind of tough to watch. So anyway, we don't need that. But it was good to see Texas beat NC State just because, Will Wade is who he is. I'm sorry. But
SEC.
Yeah, look at the SEC pulling out a big win in the tournament.
There you go.
Who says the SEC's down this year?
SEC over the ACC. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, gosh, actually, I need to familiarize myself with that. Texas gets who?
I got to look at this bracket here. Hold on.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very disappointing that I don't know this.
Yeah, you're the nation's leading bracketologist.
Yeah. No. Oh,
they
yeah.
They
BYU. Yeah. So they get to go out to Portland. Yay. They get to go out to Portland and play on Thursday. Play tomorrow against BYU. So, good luck with that.
So, Joe, I'm waited with bated breath for you to tell me what we can expect tonight between Prairie View and Lehigh. Looking forward to that. Also, big one tonight if you're a Tennessee fan. It's Miami of Ohio at SMU, so you're going to play the winner of that game. So keep an eye on that tonight if you're a Vols fan.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. I think only twice since this started, which was in 2011, have we not had at least one of the first four teams win after that in the round of 64. So it seems, and you would think that's tough. You got to play a game, then you travel, that night or the next day, and then you play the next day. But it has been not a terrible disadvantage at all for these teams to play a game. So that is one thing for UT to be wary of. And I think tonight's a pretty big deal. Like there are people that are mad that Miami of Ohio got in, because again, some of their metrics are bad or not that of an at-large team. I think that they absolutely should be in, at 31-1. But this is one of those things where, like, if SMU mops the floor with them, the haters will have their day. I mean, I'm hoping that we have a good game, and I think Miami. It's important that Miami kind of demonstrates, all year long. It's true that they tried to schedule good teams, and no one would schedule them. Look, in our town, I'll say it every time: Vanderbilt, play Belmont. Vanderbilt, play Lipscomb. Come on. And unfortunately, it's really hard for these mid-majors to get these games. But now Miami needs to kind of, they need to prove it tonight and play well and at least make it a game.
Have you done much exploring of Oklahoma City yet? What's the verdict so far?
Not a lot, but we are literally out my window. I can see the arena, so
That's good.
You gotta like that. Gentry and I did hit up a brewery last night. Got some pretty good food. It's what's it called? Bricktown.
Sure.
It's like we're right next to that. So yeah, it was cool. And a lot of people out for St. Patrick's Day. It's a nice city. It's very, you can see everything, from the airport. It's like 15 miles away and you're like, oh, I can see downtown because it's completely flat out here. Very different from us.
Wow, there's a tornado in the background over there. It's amazing. 25 miles away.
Yeah, you can see how those tornadoes would pop up and do some damage.
Yep. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode. We will get into the NCAA tournament throughout the first hour of the show today. Paul Kuharsky will be with us later in the program. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. A story making the rounds around the NCAA tournament that Rexrode brought up briefly yesterday, but we got to revisit coming up next. We'll do that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Need a bracket to fill out for the NCAA men's tournament? Head to theGameNashville.com/mayhem and print off your bracket today. Presented by Toyota. Fuel your adrenaline at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Also brought to you by Maple Street Biscuit Company and Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. Taking your thoughts on the NCAA tournament, 615-737-1025. Some more games coming up tonight in the first four, and then we're at it full go tomorrow. So looking forward to all that. 615-737-1025. So, Joe, a story that you brought up yesterday was, we were talking about Kentucky and all the money that goes into their roster and having a larger discussion about Tennessee and the investments that they've made in their program. And you brought up the story of Yaxel Lindeborg that said that he apparently Kentucky, he was the most, I guess, sought after guy in the portal this past year. And he told, I guess, the AP that the Kentucky started with a number with 7 to 9 million that they were, he said, quote, they were pretty much going off on the route like we'll pay him anything to get here, was the quote that he said there. So 7 to 9 million. And we kind of made fun of that range yesterday. What do you make of it? That's generated a lot of attention out there over the last couple of days. What do you make of this story that is surrounding the NCAA tournament at this point and that number of 7 to 9 million?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And oh man, first of all, the reporter here is my buddy Larry Lage, the Associated Press, who I used to work with at the Lansing State Journal about 1,000 years ago. Also, little piece of trivia for people, even though you didn't ask for it. Larry Lage in college was Sparty. He was one of the Sparties, the Sparty mascot. And as he said back then, I can't imagine what it would be now, but it's like the stench of that thing when you put that head on, man. I mean, I tell you what. But I think he was a very good Sparty. He's a very good reporter for the Associated Press. I mean, he and Teresa have been colleagues for a long time. And so we got this one-on-one. It's an interesting story. And Lindeborg's been an incredible player, first team All-American. I mean, he's on the short list of, to me, most outstanding player candidates. I mean, Michigan certainly could win it all. But first of all, 7 to 9 million? What was the number?
Anywhere from 1 to 10 million to go play.
Think about it from Kentucky's perspective. I mean, it would have been good for Kentucky to get him. There's no doubt about it. But we already, Mark Pope's already getting just crushed all year long for a $22 million roster, which is by far. I mean, I don't think that there's another one. Michigan might have the second most expensive, but I mean, that might be a $10 million difference there. Okay. It's absurd. And they're not very good. Now, granted, Jaden Quayton's with the knee. I mean, he's going to be a first round pick, all that stuff. That's, they would have been different. They beat St. John's with him. They almost never had him all year, but it's still a terribly constructed roster for Kentucky. For half that or less than that, you could have put together a better team. So we're supposed to believe that then you're going to pay someone 7 to 9 million. It's just, I don't doubt that he took a little less to go to Michigan, but it's kind of framed like he did, Michigan barely paid him and he, just wanted to go play at Michigan. We also, by the way, Bruce Pearl did the Auburn-Michigan game way earlier this year, and he said on the air, we offered the Axel $2 million, and that didn't even warm him up, So I'd love to know exactly what he got, but it's just a bizarre story, and basically no one believes him. I mean, I really hope that Mark Pope. Let's see, they play. Okay, so they don't play till Friday, so it'll be tomorrow. I mean, I hope someone asks him about it. I mean, he's probably not going to say like the number, or he may not address it, but he should still get asked about it.
I would agree. I mean, Glenn from Greenbrier says 7 to 9 million. LOL. He doesn't know the true number. Let's say that's true. He turned down that for $3 million. No, this is from Glenn from Greenbrier on the text line. I don't know. I mean, look, on the Kentucky front, I mean, my guess is, without knowing the specifics of the timeline of when they acquired everybody on their roster. I mean, I guess my guess is if they got him, that would probably be at the detriment of somebody else. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it wouldn't be like make it a $31 million
Right.
roster. There'd be someone else gone. Yeah,
right. So there is that part of it, but I don't know. Like when you say something like that, 7 to 9 million, it does kind of sound like you're just making stuff up. Either if you're comfortable enough to say, you know, what you've been offered, go out and say what you've been offered, or don't like go through some stupid range like this. It just makes it seem like you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it makes you seem like you're making it up,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't like I could buy like that they were almost like whatever you need, we'll pay you.
Yeah.
And then what he said to Larry, what he said in the story is, which I get. It's like I'm used to not having money at all, so like what Michigan paid was was more than enough. But yeah, like it's just hard to buy. Like I don't think, especially because it's like, yes, you could look at Michigan and we could be a really good team this year and all that stuff. Dusty May is a good coach, but like, I mean, Kentucky, they had just had a really good year under Mark Pope. It's freaking Kentucky,
Yeah.
I mean, like even recently, let alone overall, but even recently, they've had more success than Michigan. I mean, like last year, Dusty May is really good. We had one good year. Last year was his first year, just like Mark Pope. And like there'd be no reason in last offseason to be like, oh, this is going to be a much better situation than Kentucky. Obviously Michigan's a much better team this year, but it's just it's a weird one. But you think about that number. I mean, even if you're talking, because we're getting into, again, 3 million, 4 million range for top players.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about, I really can't believe that we're going to get up into that 7 to 9 range or whatever anytime soon. But we are getting to the point where, because the NBA rookie scale is not really changing,
Right.
but this market continues to go up. So I think more and more, let's take this to Vanderbilt. Tyler Tanner. I mean, most people have kind of assumed. I mean, he's probably leaving. He's projected as a late first round pick. I could make a case for him to stay, and some of that is like, what is the pay? Also, I think, he definitely needs to get stronger. So, you see him against Darius Acuff, you see the difference, right?
Yeah.
You wonder if there's more guys. We get even into the guys who look pretty good as late first round picks, but it's like, well, I'm going to make 3 next year. So no, I'm just going to stay in college. I think we're getting, which is a good thing for college basketball.
I would agree. I mean, it's basically the same things with like, if you're a borderline first round pick as a quarterback on the football front, like, does it make more sense for you to take a chance and go to the NFL draft? Or does it make more sense? I mean, now that, some of these quarterbacks are getting paid $4 or $5 million a year, does it make more sense to you to look at your situation and say, you know what, rather than taking a risk here and going to the draft and maybe ended up as like some mid-second round pick or third round pick, I'm going back to college and I'm going to make another $5 million next year. And then we'll try it again the year after that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Ty Simpson, I think got, would have made really good money. I think they made the right choice.
Would have been a good quarterback at Tennessee.
What's that?
Would have been a really good quarterback at Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't remember if it was reported what the offer was, but I mean, I bet you it was probably like 4, right?
Yep.
Something like that. And so, if you're not sure, like in a year where like it's a pretty good quarterback class, that's a no-brainer almost. This year, I think they made the right choice. They went in, and he's going to go in the first round, right? I mean, I'd be very surprised at this point if he doesn't go in the first round. But in a lot of years, it's like, and I mean, I appreciate that he, didn't want to do the whole go from Bama to Tennessee thing. I mean, I think that's cool. I don't know. I mean, I know Tennessee fans would rather see him for a year in Orange, but that is kind of weird. That's one thing that we have in college sports where it's just like, going from one rival to the other and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think that's great for the game. But a lot of guys are going to stay more and more. And if the market just there's ever collective bargaining or any sort of an actual cap. But all the artificial things they want to do to put a cap on it, they're not going to work. They're never going to work.
So with all the money that is being thrown around in college basketball, we talked yesterday about how hard it is for some of these traditional Cinderella teams to keep their players for multiple years. Are we going to see a Cinderella team this year? How important is it that we do? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Joe, it's going to be an interesting, case study this year with all the money flowing around, with some of these teams that, as we talked about yesterday, it's hard in today's day and age of college basketball to be one of these mid-major teams that has a team that stays together for multiple years with really good players that kind of build up, that you don't lose those players to teams that come in and just swoop them up and pay them more money. Like it's a hard thing in today's landscape of college basketball. So, one of the talking points around that over the last few years is going to be, well, once tournament time comes around, how is that going to affect, some of the really cool Cinderella upsets or teams that have gone on extended runs in the tournament that we've seen before. So, I mean, look, you look at the bracket this year, Joe, and we've talked about the 1 seeds. I mean, it feels like a pretty top-heavy tournament. Like, I'd be very surprised if at least 2 and really 3 of the 1 seeds don't end up in the Final Four. But even like beyond the Final Four, this week has traditionally been, you can count on every year at least a couple of pretty good upsets that usually happen in the tournament. And I wonder, with the changing landscape of college sports every year and the money being thrown around, and how difficult it is for some of these lower level teams to retain their talent, are we going to see less and less of that as time goes on? So, Joe, what do you make of that, first off? And number two, how important do you think it is that we do see some of that this week once the tournament gets going?
Well, I think it's really important that, I don't know that we're going to have a George Mason anytime soon, or a VCU anytime soon, a 11 seed, 12 seed type team that gets to the Final Four. But we also we don't have that many examples of that ever. So, those are special cases. But yeah, like a team that gets to the second weekend. I mean, St. Peter's wasn't that long ago. And it was only 3 years ago that we had, Fairleigh Dickinson beating Purdue. So, the one-off insane upset, I still think, those things can and will happen. One thing to remember about this is it's way harder to have, like you just said, the mid-major, well-coached old team stays together, and then by the time they're juniors, seniors, it's a really good team. I mean, think about some of the Belmont teams we would have had here in the last few years, because Casey Alexander is an unbelievable evaluator of talent, and he had Will Richard, he had Jacoby Gillespie, he had Cade Tyson. I mean, it's insane. How good some of these Belmont teams could have been, even relative to the rest of college basketball. I mean, he would have. I was talking to Steve Lehman, at the SEC tournament, and it's they would have had absolutely a top 25 team, and they really would have. So that's the way harder to do, way less prevalent. One thing to remember though is that, and Belmont had this year, and a lot of these mid majors do too. There are also players who come from the higher levels, right? Who go to mid-major level now too. And so if you can find the right ones, who maybe just aren't quite producing at that level, and they're kind of, and I guess in a lot of cases it's they're, for lack of a better term, they're kind of run off those teams. There's still ways to have really good rosters as a mid-major, just like the Power 5 teams. It's there's a lot of we got 5-6 of these guys just for this 1 year, or these this team has not been together a lot. But again, if everybody's like that, then at least I guess in that way it's more of a level playing field in terms of the continuity, and the chemistry on between players and stuff like that. But yeah, first of all, it stinks in this tournament that Belmont, I've already said this, but Belmont and Yale are two teams that I think could have done damage, could have gone to the Sweet 16, certainly could have won a game, and they're out. Some of these upsets that we had in conference tournaments, or a couple others too, have kind of weakened the lower seeds. But I mean, I look at, Akron. I mean, you can make a case that Akron really was a better team than Miami this year. They just didn't find a way to just win all these close games. I kind of thought they were going to beat Miami if they would have played in the MAC title game. And, so Akron, Hofstra, those are two teams that are in the same pod in Tampa this week that I think you look at, and certainly you can see them having a chance. I mean, is there a 13-14 in there? I mean, I don't like any of them. I didn't pick any of them, but like Wright State is actually pretty good. Could they shock Virginia? Could Penn shock Illinois? I mean, who knows? I mean, we're going to have something unexpected, but I do think it's important that this tournament still has that. It's just, we don't want this to just be a Power 5 invitational and just, have the 1 seeds go to the Final Four every year like they did last year.
I do think this is going to be a problem moving forward. Like if that's what you're looking for in the tournament, like I think that's going to happen less and less it's just when the resources, and I realize the resources in the past, even before NIL was all out in the open, were lopsided. But I think it's different now. Like where the fact that you can just any given year look at Belmont and be like, hey, yeah, I want that guy. Let's go pay him and just get him. Like, I just think that changes the game. So I'm not saying we're not going to see any upsets this week. We'll see some, but like those stories that you mentioned, like George Mason, like I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Like I think it's just a different time in college sports now. So, I'm interested to see if anything like that. Like, is there a team like that even can get their way to the Sweet 16? Because for the general public. We've talked about this before, Joe. I think people love the upsets early in the tournament. And then by about the time the Sweet 16 comes around, it's like, all right, let's see the best matchups. Like, let's make sure we get the best matchups possible. So I think that part of it probably is never going to change. Like, watching the tournament, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week, it's why it's been my favorite time to watch the tournament in years past, just because you do have the opportunity for some of these upsets. So I'm interested to see how many of those we get this week. I do think as time goes on, that's just going to happen less and less.
Yeah, it's hard to argue otherwise because, it's just like, I mean, I did a thing like doing some Where Are They Now story with some of these guys who were on some of these mostly like, the Cinderella type teams like Tony Skinn. I talked to him. He's the George Mason coach now. And actually he's doing really well at George Mason. They won 27 games last year. Couldn't even get in the tournament. So first of all, it's even hard. He's like, basically like we had the best season in school history last year. And in the old days, we got into the tournament. It was the RPI, which was flawed, but the RPI, like, they were a top 25 RPI team that year. Some people were mad they got in, but they were old and they developed guys and they were really good. And it's like, he said basically the same thing. Like, so it's even harder. It's way harder for mid-majors to get in, one, as an at-large. It's hard. Like, no one will schedule us, all that stuff that everybody talks about. And then, that they're coming for your best players. So it's really hard. You have to, I mean, some of these, there's like some of these schools have budgets. They have, I think like in the MVC, stuff I've been told, there's some schools that have like multi-million-dollar budgets. So that's, you can hold on to maybe if there's one, really key guy or two, you can try. And it's like, okay, we're not paying you as much as they're offering you, but like, the player development, your teammates, you like it here. It's a little less money. At least it's competitive, but it's hard when you got teams with $10 million rosters and they can throw a lot more money. So it's you're going to have those, maybe some guys stay, you're going to have to, there are guys who get way better from one year to the next. Right. So look at Tyler Tanner this year for Vanderbilt, who had him as an All-American, who had him as a first round pick last year. He was a role player. 1 year jumps happen.
Sure.
And so one team maybe has 2-3 guys like that, and then you maybe get a couple guys who come from the Power 5 ranks who come down, but on your team that all fit, you can have it, but it has to be a pretty special concoction and a bunch of things like come together for you. It's way harder. It used to just be, like you said, it's just like if you're a good coach and you're good at finding players, then once they get old, you can have yourself a really good team. So, I mean, I looked at who could be a Cinderella this year. I mean, like, does Santa Clara count? Does that count? I mean, they're a 10 seed.
Yeah, I'd say it counts.
Okay. I mean, it's a mid-major,
Yeah. That's
like
basically my qualification. Are you mid-major? Cool, you count.
Well, yeah. So now it's interesting because I would call NC State from a couple years ago a Cinderella. Now they're NC State, but
See,
they
I
were an
would not.
11 seed. Yeah, I mean they're 11 seed. So they're lower seeded than Santa Clara. So to you it has to be a mid major.
That's me. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm open to being wrong, but yes, that's me.
Yeah. Well, then it's even harder.
I agree. I know. Like, I just think it's come on, Hofstra. Let's get going, Hofstra. They would qualify.
Yeah, that's the thing. I almost think it's like bad for them that all this crap's happening at Alabama. Like Bama's
They're
gonna
get destroyed.
Gonna hit 23s on them, and yeah, but it's there for them.
It is 615-737-1025. Our phone number. We'll take your reaction to the Cinderella in college basketball. Is it about to be a thing of the past? How important is it that we see some of that this year as the tournament gets underway? We'll take more of your thoughts on that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Right Time HVAC, Cromwell Media teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? Or do you need a fix to get you ready for the summertime? Nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. Enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you can win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. We are taking your thoughts on the NCAA tournament, 615-737-1025. Our phone number. Paul Kuharsky will be with us later in the program. Let's head to our phone line and welcome in Brian to the program. Brian, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's good to hear some basketball talk. This is the best time of year to be. Spring is pretty much here, but it's not really here.
Getting close.
How it feels this morning. Baseball is about to start up and all this, but to your point on the Cinderella, I don't think we have to worry about it going away. I know the NIL has played a big factor in the potential of Cinderella going away. But one thing we do know about these young guys, everybody wants to get paid, but they also want to play. And I guess basketball roster is around 15 in college, if I'm not mistaken. So the potential for these guys to get regular playing time still is a big draw. If you look at Tennessee State themselves, they got a couple of transfers from other places. And it's not to say that the Cinderella, what we remember as the Cinderella, some of these teams that have been playing together for so long coming together. I think that kind of Cinderella is going away, but I think you still will see Cinderella from a mid-major standpoint because there's still going to be guys that are transferring to some of these smaller schools in order to play. And I do have to ask y'all a favor, especially you, Joe, because I know you're really got your knee deep into college basketball. But please talk me out of picking TSU over Iowa State, man. I've watched both of them play. Iowa State has a great team, but this is something different about this TSU team, man. And
I agree.
While I as an alum, I want TSU to do their best, but I also care about my bracket because brackets, all it is bragging rights to say, hey, I had that pick, but just talk me out of it, man. If I'm crazy, call me crazy, but if not, then. But y'all enjoy the basketball coming up this weekend, man. Enjoy the nice weather coming up, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate the call, man. I mean, hey, I'm trying to talk myself into picking Tennessee State. So, Joe, talk me into it.
Hey, listen, 10 years ago, I was a Michigan State beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. I had just gotten the job as a columnist at the Tennessean, and it was like, okay, well, cover Michigan State on their Final Four run, and then you can start at the Tennessean, and they were a 2 seed, and Middle Tennessee was a 15 seed, and they played in St. Louis, which is where Iowa State and TSU are playing as a 2 against a 15. I'm just saying. Now, I mean, I don't have that on my bracket. I gotta say, I agree, man. This Tennessee State team, this TSU team it's really like they are really good. It's amazing. Like this is actually a great thing to introduce to the discussion because there's an example of this coach didn't even pick these guys. It's not even like he came in July and inherited a team, that wasn't that good last year. They were okay. And basically a lot of the same guys. And he figured out a way to put together they are a good team. I'm super fascinated by that game. I'm not picking TSU. I think Iowa State's really good. And the problem with that on your bracket is I think it's going to be Michigan against Iowa State in the Elite Eight in Chicago. As I look through it, it's hard for me to think Tennessee or Virginia or Kentucky will beat Iowa State. But every year there are teams that would make runs that get chopped down early. So I think that game is going to be better than some people realize. And to Brian's point, I'm looking at Belmont's roster right now. Isaiah West previously at Vanderbilt, Graydon Lemke previously at Gonzaga, Tyler Lundblade previously at TCU and SMU. You see that all over the place. It is the playing time. Maybe it's not more money but sometimes it's like, but like I'm like the number 3 guy at that team, a little bit less money, but like, and then some people think of it too. It's like if I go there and play a lot more and get better, then maybe I can go somewhere else. I mean, that's part of the problem. It's just the bouncing around stuff. But there are good players who go the other way, and sometimes you can have a good recipe that way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's if you're looking around the country, play, as he brought up, playing time obviously is very important. And look, we talk about players and programs stealing players from mid-major teams and bringing them up. I mean, if you're a mid-major team, and if you're also, I think, looking for players at the bottom of some of these, SEC and ACC and Big Ten rosters, and saying, well, do you want to sit there for another year, or do you want to come play? Like we've seen that happen from time to time too. Of you're coming down a level in competition, but you're going to get a chance to play, and if you play well, you either keep playing at the place where we come get you, or like I think you're seeing some mid-major teams, Joe, say, "Hey, come play for us for a year, get your numbers going, get your minutes up, and you'll make more money somewhere else the year after. But in the meantime, I mean, you're basically a mercenary for us for a year." Like you're seeing some teams kind of, play out that approach to it as well, which is probably how I would do it. I'd probably lean into that if I'm one of these mid-major teams.
Yeah, I know some coaches hate that, but it's not a bad, like Will Wade, certainly. Speaking of Will
Oh, yeah.
Wade, I mean, at McNeese, he's like, I'm trying to get you guys all paid. Come here. And then, if you do well, you'll go somewhere else and I'll help you go somewhere else. And obviously he took a couple of those guys with him to NC State this year. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the reality of it is like, that's probably something that you need to talk about. Chase from White Bluff says, who's your upsets? And my favorite upset pick is he likes VCU over UNC. I know. I think we will present our like final 4 picks and stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I will tell you my upset. So my double-digit seed winners on my bracket, I have South Florida beating Louisville. So, and then I have 3 in the Midwest. I got carnage in the Midwest.
Okay.
I'm picking Hofstra over Bama. I do feel like it actually like somehow this like works against Hofstra, this whole thing with Aiden Holloway. I got Akron over Texas Tech. Akron's good. And I got Santa Clara. I already talked about them over Kentucky. But man, yeah, the TSU game is, Iowa State they can go through stretches of not scoring. They're not great inside. So, sometimes with some of these, like a TSU and some of these hot, low seeds, it's the interiors where, if you play a really big team, it's just a problem. You play a Florida, you play a Michigan, Arizona. It's like, man, but Iowa State is not, Jefferson's an amazing power forward, but they're not great inside. And, TSU, they can shoot it. They move the ball. They play with pace. I mean, I actually, Brian's got me thinking, a little bit like maybe I should have given that one a little bit more thought as an upset. I think it'll be more of a game than people realize.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Paul Kuharsky will be with us later in the program. We will get into all things Titans with him. There was a massive trade in the NFL yesterday. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Wednesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us later in the program. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him, so looking forward to that coming up a little bit later in the show. Taking your thoughts, as always, at 615-737-1025 on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. As we mentioned to begin the show, big win for the Preds last night. They take down Winnipeg in a shootout, and they will take on Seattle tomorrow. And we'll have Preds head coach Andrew Burnett with us tomorrow on the show. Preds are 2 points back of a playoff spot, which Seattle holds. So big game coming up tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. There was a big move in the National Football League yesterday. Jalen Waddle traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Denver Broncos. So Denver makes it to the AFC Championship game. They take on Mike Vrabel, Drake May. They lose at home with their backup quarterback playing. And great defense. It feels like the Broncos continuing to be a team that is ascending. So they go get Waddle, and they give up a first-rounder, a third-rounder, and they swap fourth-rounders with the Dolphins to get him. So a first, a third, and a fourth-round swap with the Miami Dolphins for Jalen Waddle. When I first saw this, my initial reaction was, man, that seems like a lot to give up for Jalen Waddle. Now, I realize, when you're talking about a first-round pick for Denver, it's the 30th pick. So, not all first-round picks are created equal, but it is the 30th overall pick. I'm looking at Waddle's numbers the last couple of years. I mean, look, Waddle came in the league. It was him. Tyreek Hill ends up down there in Miami too. And the first 3 years for Waddle, he was over 1,000 yards every year. 2022, he had 75 catches for 1,356 yards and 8 touchdowns. And that was his second year in the league. So it's like, man, he's pretty darn good. The last 2 years, he played 15 games in 2024. He had 58 catches for 744 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then this past year, he played 16 games, had 64 catches, 910 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So he's still been productive. He has not been really anywhere near the same as he was early in his career. Now, I guess then the question you have to ask, Ian, is how much of that is him? How much of that is the offense around him and the quarterback play and all that Miami? It's a fair question.
It seemed a little off there towards the end in Miami for everybody, except for maybe the running back. Achane was kind of putting up numbers still.
Yeah.
Everybody else was kind of starting to slack a little bit. Don't know if that was strictly on the quarterback. The whole combination, it started to get messy there, obviously. I don't know. Denver needed a wide receiver. They were lacking. I guess Sutton is good, but he's not your explosive guy. I think Denver was missing a piece. And I guess they figured this was kind of an expensive price to pay to bring Waddle over. But when you're Denver and you made a run and you're right back at it, you might just feel like you're missing a piece or two, kind of take your offense back over the top. So I could see where that makes sense for them. And with Miami, it kind of feels like a total reset there. Does it not?
Oh, yeah.
At this point?
Yeah, it's total resetting. Look, they went and got Malik Willis.
New regime.
It's a new regime. And then now if you're Malik Willis, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, so Waddle's gone. I mean, you still have Achane there, so that's good. But it's one of those things where you're looking at the roster if you're Willis and you're like, who in the heck am I throwing the ball to? Like, Waddle's gone. You got a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and a fourth-round pick coming from Denver. I mean, it's good. It's good that you're Miami and you're stacking up some draft picks here. So I don't necessarily
They'll be taking one in the draft, you would think.
Yeah, you're probably taking one in the draft at some point. But if you're Malik Willis, it's like, who in the world am I throwing the ball to? Like that part of it is going to be really interesting. Joe, what did you make of the Waddle trade from Miami to the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, I immediately felt for Malik. It's like that would you kind of forget about Jalen Waddle because he's been hurt, and obviously they've been so irrelevant and all that, and they've had such other issues. But I mean, I think if you can get him healthy, like he's still a really good player. And so I like the trade for the Broncos for sure. I think they needed another playmaker, and it's tough. I mean, to me, it's like the Dolphins are. I mean, I guess it's no surprise they're some level of rebuild, right? But it's like it is if you want to give Malik Willis the best possible opportunity, you could make the case to keep a guy like that.
You could, and again, he's what's he 27? So he's 27. So how long? I understand you got an entirely different coaching staff, an entirely different front office in there, so they're turning things over here. So I get all that, but like you are bringing in a quarterback who has a very limited sample size of starting games in the NFL. Like I'd also probably want to see what he can do, right? Because I mean, the biggest question facing the Dolphins right now, yeah, they've got a lot of salary cap problems and they're basically in salary cap hell when it comes to like this year and all the dead money that they're eating and all that stuff. But the biggest question long term facing the Dolphins is who's quarterback? Like, is that going to be Malik Willis? Are you going to have to draft somebody else? Do you circle all the way back around this next season to Quinn Ewers if Malik doesn't play well in the first part of the year? Like that's the overriding question. So like I would think there's got to be at least some consideration to, well, we just gave Malik Willis this deal. Do you not want to give him a weapon to see if he can succeed beyond just the running back that's there?
Yeah, it's a big gamble, to see to and if someone was going to take it, and it makes sense for them to take it. And I think it's going to be one of the most interesting stories in the NFL in the next couple of years, or really next year. I mean, we're going to have a pretty good idea next year, but again, it's like if it's really bad around him, I mean, he was not good here. There's a lot of players who have been not as good with the Titans in recent times, who then go do better things with other teams, and obviously with the Packers, like I at the risk of offending you are going into a situation that's a pretty well coached offense, pretty good track record of working with quarterbacks and stuff, good support around the quarterback, helps a guy like him look better and then get an opportunity somewhere else. But you don't want to strip it down too much when he does get this opportunity.
So on the Broncos front, I mean, you're already hosting the AFC title game last year, so it's not like you were that far away anyway. But does the Jalen Waddle move make them the favorite in the AFC in your mind, Joe?
I don't know. I don't know. I think the Broncos are going to win like 3 straight Super Bowls, and then I'm going to respect them and think they're actually good. But I don't know. It's hard for me to think of them as, but they're really good on D. Again, it's just Bo Nix. It's for whatever reason I just can't get. It's like a mental block I have of believing that he's actually as good as he has kind of demonstrated. Yeah, I mean the guy can play. It certainly helps. I mean they have to be on the short list.
I mean if you're going by Super Bowl odds, they are 6th in the AFC. 6th.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No,
just on FanDuel.
Okay.
So the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Chargers are the 3rd AFC team on this list, which is very interesting. The Chiefs, the Patriots, and then the Broncos.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess Vegas
the Chargers, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that's respect for Harbaugh. That's also, again, like the Justin Herbert thing is amazing. Like, I can't remember someone exactly like this who people are so enamored with him. And again, I get like he's a talent. There's no doubt. You watch him play, you're like, oh man, that's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. But at some point, I think the results probably have to dictate how you feel about them, right? But Vegas feels like I do about the Broncos. It's like, and it's funny because you said the Patriots were 5th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, people are like, okay, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, like they'll be back, and I kind of tend to agree. I kind of feel like with both of those teams, they got on a roll last year. We know the Patriots schedule was what it was, and that they're both going to take a little bit of a step back. But certainly Waddle I like that move for them. It's like, okay, you should be operating as if you're in go for it mode right now.
You should. I mean, the Bo Nix part of this, like you watch him play, like he played against the Titans last year in week 1. You're like, man, he's not very good. Like he didn't look good at all. I watched him play at other times throughout the year. He looked really good. Sean Payton, apparently he's not calling plays next year, so that part of it is going to be interesting. What does that look like for their offense? But I don't know. Like I look at Waddle, and, I went through the numbers earlier. He really hasn't been all that great the last couple of years. How much of that is him? How much of that is what's been going on at quarterback specifically in Miami? Clearly, the Broncos think it's the quarterback, and that when he comes to Denver, he's going to look more like the Jalen Waddle we saw early in his career. And if he does, that's a pretty big time difference maker. I also looked at the price they gave up, Joe, and if the Eagles end up trading A.J. Brown, they ought to be able to get more than the Dolphins got back for Jalen Waddle.
Absolutely. I'm trying to what have Waddle's injuries been? I don't remember. I mean, I
think he's had some hamstring stuff in there
it's
too.
been a handful of
soft tissue.
He's mostly played though. Like he's never missed more than 3 games in a year. So it's not like he's had anything overly long term.
It's just like, which I think, that's some credit to him too. But he certainly, at least that's the, what I recall is that he has played while not 100% some too, right? But who knows how much? I mean, it's so hard. And soft tissue stuff, certainly some of that stuff can, like once you start having it, I mean, think about Julio Jones here, and he was older, but like once you start having it, sometimes that can be a problem. But it's hard for me to believe that he doesn't have some really good football ahead of him. And maybe it's just getting out of Miami, will be one big thing for him that can give him a little boost. He's got Bo Nix throwing the ball to him. So, I mean, what more could you want?
Absolutely. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. More of your thoughts on the Jalen Waddle trade, plus some other storylines in the NFL that we'll hit coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Come play hooky with 102.5 The Game tomorrow at Jelly Rolls Goodnight Nashville, and on Friday at Boom Ba's in East Nashville from noon to 6. You can watch the basketball games with us, enjoy great food, handcrafted beverages, and win prizes. NCAA tournament coverage on 102.5 The Game, presented by Toyota, Thompson Machinery, and Pizzona MD. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, still some free agents out there and available in the National Football League, including some interesting names at the quarterback position. There's Kirk Cousins. You still no word on what Aaron Rodgers is going to do with his career, whether or not he's going to retire or continue to play. Russell Wilson, what's going to happen with him. Anthony Richardson, has been granted permission to seek a trade. That has not happened yet as of this point. So some interesting names that still could be out there on the move. Specifically on Cousins. Like, Cousins came in this last year, Joe, and he actually played pretty well for Atlanta when he was in there. And now you're talking about a 37-year-old that will be 38 coming up in August. I mean, he's going to be a backup quarterback if he's still in the league. So that's what you're looking at if you're Kirk Cousins. There's still some spots where I think it would be, people brought up the idea of Mendoza being drafted by the Raiders and Cousins coming in to back him up, which could be objectively hilarious with those two in the quarterback room together in Las Vegas, which is just kind of amazing to think about. What do you think about Cousins? Like, what do you think he should do here? How much consideration, if you're him, do you give to just getting out of this thing and going to be on TV, which he did in the playoffs, and I thought he was really good? Like, what do you think happens from here on out with Kirk Cousins in terms of the rest of his NFL future?
Yeah, I think the Raiders thing is definitely a real thing. I'm interested to talk about this with Charles tomorrow. Arizona, I've heard, a little bit as something that isn't, I guess, could be possible. I've said it before, and I really believe, like, Cousins, it's a great job if you can be in this league and be a backup and hold a clipboard, be part of a team, get paid, pretty well, and be ready and all that stuff. But, like, most guys who do that, are starters, maybe briefly or not at all. I mean, Cousins has made has made more than almost everyone who's ever played in the NFL. So to me, it's like, just start right now on becoming what he will become, and it won't be long, the foremost color commentator in the NFL. I truly believe that. He is going to be, because he's really good at conveying the X's and O's, but also, he's not quite like dribbling all over himself like Tony Romo, or whatever is going on with him. I mean, he's better than Brady right now, period. Like, just snap your finger. Well, yeah, Brady got better this last year. He's fine. He's fine. But Cousins is absolutely better than him. So I think Brady is trying to sign him so that he doesn't quickly overshadow him as an analyst on TV.
Okay.
That's my. You like that? There we go. That's my little conspiracy theory. Brady's just trying to keep him off TV.
No, in all seriousness, I do think, we didn't see him do the color commentary part of it in the playoffs. He was in studio, I think, with CBS. I think he'd be really good as a color commentator in the NFL. Like, he just and some of this comes from, like, watching him on, the quarterback show on Netflix. Like, just his ability to break things down that way, I thought was really good. And he's just a really interesting guy. So, like, I think he would be really, really good on TV. That would be the route I'd be going if I was him. Now, I understand that, there's only a finite amount of time that you've got to be an NFL quarterback. So you can still, I think he's aware that whether he retires now or whether he retires in 2 or 3 years, the TV opportunity will probably be there for him. So if you want to, hang around in the league as long as possible, I can't necessarily blame him for that. But to me, with the money that's out there in TV right now, rather than taking some backup quarterback job somewhere, that's probably what I'd go do.
Yeah, I mean, if the Raiders, if they say, look, like, we actually want you to have this season, or unless it goes really bad, we want you to have this season because, like, it's look at all these teams that are throwing their rookies out there, and we don't want to do that. That doesn't seem like a very Raiders thing to do. I mean, that would make it a little bit more appealing if you're Cousins, but it's still, when you're that guy, even in Atlanta, they had just given him this huge deal, right? But there was if there's any kind of unknown young shiny toy on the bench in an NFL city, like, the fans are quickly going to go to the first sign of trouble. They're going to that. And it becomes, like, let's face it, ownership, coaching, front office, they hear the fans, whether they admit it or not. It's a lot of pressure to to be perfect or know that everyone wants you replaced if you're that guy. But at least it's better than just come be our backup. I don't see why Cousins would do that. He certainly doesn't need, again, doesn't need the money, and he wants to play. So, now I guess then there's also the Arizona situation, which, but it's also, do you want to quarterback a really bad team too? Atlanta was, they were decent. Arizona might not go well. Oakland might not go well either, but at least there's some good young skill position guys around you.
I'm interested to see where Richardson's going to end up. There's still, he's going to get traded at some point here. We've talked about the Levis part of this. I think Levis is going to get traded at some point too. Where does Richardson end up? Like, there's all sorts of people connected him to the Packers now because the Packers don't have backup quarterback. So maybe, I guess that could be an option there. I wouldn't mind, actually, now that I think about it, Kirk coming there, but I don't think he's going to do that. But I'm interested to see what happens on the Anthony Richardson front. Look, it's amazing to think about this. He's 23 years old. It feels like he's been in the league a while at this point. He's 23 years old. So I don't know. Obviously, there's a ton of talent there. I think there's a lot of work that's going to need to be done with him for him to turn into a good starting NFL quarterback at some point in his career. And it's probably a heck of a project for somebody to undergo here. But in the meantime, as he gets traded somewhere to be somebody's backup, does he learn something at that point? I'm interested to see who makes a trade for him. It's probably going to be, 5th or 6th rounder, similar to Levis at that point. But what does that end up looking like here in like 2-3 years? Does Anthony Richardson reemerge as some good player in the NFL?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not optimistic, but I think it's worth taking a flyer on him.
LaFleur, do it again, son. Just get in there and mold backup quarterbacks around the league. Forget playoff games. Just mold backup quarterbacks.
Maybe LaFleur should have done what the Chiefs just did, which is, and by the way, for people talking about compensation for Levis, Justin Fields has been a starter in this league and has had some success. Like, it certainly is a very good option as a backup. And the Chiefs just gave us 6 for Justin Fields. So, keep that in mind. On, someone was it yesterday was like, they should get a top 100 pick for Levis. Like, oh my God, top 100 in the last 2 rounds. If we start with 1 at the top of the 6th round, and no, absolutely not. That's an interesting move, by the way, for the Chiefs.
I agree.
I don't hate it. As a backup guy, he can come in there and
when he may have to play early. I assume Mahomes is going to be ready, but he did tear his ACL. He may not be. I don't know.
Yeah. So, and on the Cousins, you swing. You mentioned the Packers. I guess that is the one other thing with Cousins is, like, is there a team that could? And the Raiders are not this. Arizona's not this. Maybe the Packers. Or is there a team that could be like, what about a ring? Like, do you want to be part of a Super Bowl champion and still have a key role, a different role than you're used to, but a key role? I would make that pitch if I were the Packers.
If I'm team,
and he has a LaFleur history.
Yeah, like if I'm a team like that, Packers. But anyway, like, go pick your team that doesn't have a great backup quarterback situation that is in good shape with their starter. Like, don't you want to have, like, at least somewhat of an insurance policy? Like, if the Packers look, if Jordan Love goes down for the Packers, they're screwed. But wouldn't you like to be less screwed, right? Like, if Kirk Cousins is there?
Absolutely. That's with that defense and with everything else, like, he could absolutely win games for you. So I think that's I guess, again, if he's willing to be that's an obvious, you're just QB2.
Right.
But if you think that you could win a ring, no, I mean, I would be, if I were the Packers or teams like that, like who else, like who the heck is Josh Allen's backup?
Well, it was Trubisky.
Yeah, and he's gone.
Yeah.
He's here. That's obviously, talk about a stylistic switch from like Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins. It's Kyle Allen?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not very good. Some teams like that could make a big difference. But yeah, I hope Cousins just comes in and starts dominating TV, and Fox, realizes how much better he is than Brady, and we all win as viewers.
615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Take more of your thoughts on the NFL. Plus, we will get back into the NFL draft. Some of the conversations that we had yesterday, we'll fill Rexrode in on coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Raise a glass with Tennessee Brew Works, proud partner and official craft beer of the football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar, Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com is with us now here on the program. PK, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you doing out there, Joseph?
I'm doing great. Great to hear that beautiful voice.
You perked up. I'm already perked up. I'm doing my job.
He's bringing the energy. Bringing the energy in here. It's good stuff.
I just had a nice little breakfast too, so that helps.
Oh, good for you.
Rexrode did go on about a
you.
9-minute break here not that long ago. It's like, wow.
I heard you come back from break, and it was you and
Nowhere to be
Ian.
found.
You and Ian left you hanging.
Yeah, it was the logistics were a little tough here. I was gonna pay, and then I was like, I'm just gonna take this up to my room. So, but I have a voucher. I just have to go back and give it to him. As of now, I have stolen the breakfast.
Okay. Good to know.
So
So the authorities may be coming up to the hotel room in Oklahoma
Yeah.
City here in just a few minutes.
Run your camera when that happens. Run
Please
your
do.
camera.
We don't have the footage of you breaking the chair and falling down from a few years ago. We need the footage of you being, dragged out of the hotel room.
accosted. Yeah. I will give you full coverage if it happens.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So PK, we went through a lot of the free agency part of this last week. Since then, Calvin Ridley taking in basically an $11 million pay cut. He's on the roster. So you know that Robinson's going to be there. Ridley's going to be there. You've got DK and you've got Io Manor, and we'll see what else they do in the draft coming up here. But what do you make of not only Ridley staying around, but them taking a cap hit that's trimmed by about $11 million to do it?
Well, it's tells you about what he thought the market would be. He's got the potential to earn some of that back, with not likely to be earned incentives, which are probably likely to be earned because he only played 6 or 7 games last year. He's only got, usually with those incentives, you only have to earn, you only have to do a yard more or a catch more than you did the previous year. So it's a good job by the team, and for a guy who wanted to stick around and didn't seem obviously much better stuff for him on the open market, turns out favorably. If they can get themselves a good receiver, at 35 or in the third round, the group's heading in the right direction. Still always not in position. Somehow it seems to get the prize guy that they need in that group. And I think that'll stay still. A year from now, they'll be looking to replace Calvin Ridley with that guy, that dynamic top of the group kind of guy. But it's trending, even if it's not as fast as most people would like, in the right direction.
So would you at this point, I know a lot of things can happen and there's plenty of possibilities, but if you had to bet at this point, would you bet that 35 is a receiver?
Well, it depends. I mean, all of this depends on what happens at 4. If it's Love, if they take Love at 4, then I would bet that 35 is a defensive end. If they take a defensive end at 4, then I would bet that 35 is probably a receiver. All of this with the caveat, you got to know who's there, and there's got to be somebody you like there. They're not pre-planning positions without knowing who's there. But yeah,
I hope not.
The likelihood.
That's what bad teams do,
right?
Yeah.
The likelihood of those positions, I would think, end receiver or Love end are the two most likely scenarios. And again, I did a video on it last night. I'm just having trouble still catching up to everybody on Love there, which seems to be now the overriding opinion.
It's all the mock drafters have Love going at 4. We talked about this yesterday. Like, it seems like most of the fans want Love at 4. And I get it. Like, I think he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. I kind of fall more, I think, where you are, PK, though, of like if David Bailey's there at number 4, that's going to be really hard for me to pass up, even if Jeremiah Love is sitting there. But it does seem to be where all the momentum is heading right now, at least from the outside of the mock draft world, with Jeremiah Love at number 4 for basically everyone.
I don't know. I mean, I do know. I'm still with the defensive end. I think it caps off all of these moves that they've made and gives you kind of a finished or nearly finished defensive front there to reimagine yourself as a team that can get to the quarterback, stop the run, bring waves of people, transform the organization as what it is, give it an identity. Not that Love wouldn't help do a lot of those things, but positional value is still, I think, incredibly important. And I just can't convince myself to flip the other way at this point. There's still room for evidence and time and all of that.
Well, I think I would probably get in trouble if I, gave the results of a mock draft that doesn't publish until tomorrow. But I will just tell you guys that, we're on the same wavelength. I mean, we don't know obviously what's going to happen in front of the Titans, but it's I just really struggle with Love over Bailey if that's what you're looking at. Again, unless you're convinced that Love is not just, I mean, we all know he's going to be good. He's going to be very good. He's going to be a very good NFL player. But I'm talking about, running back who moves the needle like very few can, and in any given era that very few can. And I mean, how do you have that certainty? I don't know. I mean, I think people would be more excited. You're going to sell the Love, the jerseys, and you can do the Cam Ward Love thing and compare it to, to Eddie and Steve and all that stuff. But I don't think that's the smart way to go.
Tanny and Derek.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Tanny and Derek.
We miss him.
I think the flip side of this, and I think this is where some of this stuff is coming from at least the fans' perspective on the Love part. Let's say they don't get Love, and they end up with, receiver in the second or third round, and who knows what that'll look like. Did they do enough in the offseason to help out their quarterback? Like, we talked about this yesterday, Joe. You can make the argument, and this is an argument I would make. You're also helping out your quarterback a lot when you're improving your defense and getting off the field and giving him the ball more, and you're not down by 14 points before the blink of an eye like they were too often this past year. So there are different ways to help your quarterback. But in the course of an off season, if it's not an offensive skill pick pretty high, did you fail your quarterback in the off season in terms of immediately trying to help him on the offensive side of the ball and maximize what you were able to do in one off season? I think that's where a lot of that's coming from.
It's not as tangible. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson is certainly, quick relief in a lot of circumstances. Bellinger is going to help the run game and help in pass protection. But the two holes now are concerning on the offensive line, even if they've, go throw a conspiracy theory together where Zeitler is coming back, just not for a while. Even in that case, I think the answer is not enough. But say they signed Zeitler and Brian Robinson's still out there, if I'm not mistaken. If those two guys showed up, one day before the draft, all of a sudden you'd feel a lot better about things, I think. But it's still not as dramatic as what they've done on defense. They have further to go on defense, I think you could argue, but it's a one guy. I don't want to say it's a one guy difference. You'd like to have a stud back, but really you need that front of the line receiver. The guy coming in the draft's not going to be as good as you'd like, because there's not a Jackson Smith and Jigba or, even if you wound up with Carnell Tate, who's the best receiver in this draft, he's not as good as the best receivers in other drafts have been.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Let's head back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jack to the program. Jack, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So my whole take is that we have zero impact players on offense, zero. And I just like that those type of caliber players don't really come available in free agency. And so if we go in and we shore up the defense, cap it off like you said, PK, I think that just gets us back to mediocrity, and we'll never be picking this high, hopefully, in the draft again. And when you have the opportunity to get an impact player like Jeremiah Love, I think we got to take him.
Thank you,
That's all.
Jack. Appreciate the call, man. Yeah, that's where the debate, I think, really lies on all this.
I mean, it's not as if every great offensive player is drafted at the top of the first round.
I mean,
Like,
they got A.J. Brown in the second round.
Where was Amon-Ra, St. Brown?
Fourth round. Yep.
Draft. You know, I'm not saying you plot your course around that, but you have to find them in other places. And, you know, Kenneth Walker, I think, is a pretty good offensive player. He was just there in free agency for the Chiefs to take.
Exactly.
So you can find them if you're a smart shopper and a smart drafter outside of the top 5 in the draft for sure. I mean, receivers aren't flying off the shelves in the top 5 of the draft. It's quarterbacks that go there.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode is coming up next. Kuharsky with us the rest of the program. We'll take your questions for PK on our text line. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
I appreciate that we all have different opinions.
What are you doing with your hands?
Did you know you're my wonder wall?
Look pretty for the cameras.
Oh, there's Kuharsky making videos again. Can you crop this photo for me?
And I screwed two buddies in Vegas.
I think this is mating season.
But wouldn't you like to be less screwed?
Well, I'm not a peeper like you.
Why do you
We
go
know.
to the absolute gutter? It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. Check it out every morning here on the program. Joseph, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This is probably more of a hot take than a rant, but this is the time of year when we have different people who kind of get in on the college basketball thing. I personally enjoyed Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley last night. You know, it was probably more like the Manning cast or something than like a broadcast, but like you had to know what it was. It's a lot of people complain about it. I think those people, also hate ice cream and puppies, but whatever. We also have, we have people who don't normally talk about college basketball, So I'll get to my take, but real quick, let's play, for example, a little bit of analysis here from Mike Francesa.
They score on the break, they score off the turnover, and they score off the offensive rebound. And then Zuby sometimes will get a little thing going. Zuby can look really bad offensively, and he can look really sweet offensively. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially against Kansas. Remember, he left Kansas, but that's a long time ago. And he left Kansas because of Embiid. And Embiid's a different player than Zuby. I mean, Embiid, when he's healthy, is a guy who can score 50 points in the NBA. He's a big-time talent. That's no big deal that that Embiid was over him. I mean, that happens. And he came and he found a home and had one of the great careers in the history of St. John's, which is about him and about Pitino developing him. He did a great job that way.
So
Joel Embiid.
He was talking about Zuby Ejiofor, who's a great player for St. John's, and he said that he transferred from Kansas to St. John's because Joel Embiid was ahead of him at Kansas.
How long ago was Embiid in college?
Only 12 years ago.
Good grief.
Zuby was like in first grade when Joel Embiid played his season at Kansas.
This is why it's helpful to have somebody with you on the show.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. I would think so.
Yeah,
So
Nico got pushed out of Tennessee because Peyton Manning was coming back. That's good stuff.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So anyway, but there's a nice little example of some of the stuff we run into. But here's something that I'm seeing a lot, and people are mad. They're really mad about this person, and I get it. People don't like him, and there's a lot of reasons not to like him. I mean, Bruce Pearl, I think maybe Tennessee basketball fans still love Bruce Pearl. He did great things for the program, but Bruce Pearl, I mean, I think he was basically hated by every coach in college basketball for a long time because of what happened with Deion Thomas in Illinois a long time ago. He tried to record him and set him up for the NCAA, and obviously the FBI stuff. I mean, Bruce Pearl, is a very not liked person. Then he, leaves his team. Here, my son, you get the job. I mean, like a lot of people dislike him, and so I'm seeing all this year. We have the transition from Jay Wright to Bruce Pearl. Jay Wright is probably as liked a person as there was in college basketball. Everyone loves Jay Wright. Super nice guy. Never had any sort of issues. Like anybody who knows him well says like he is as good a human as you'll find. Okay, so like very different feelings personally about these people, but I'm telling you that Bruce Pearl is a better analyst than Jay Wright, and it's just he's just better. Like Jay Wright is one of those guys like really nice, but he didn't really bring a lot. It just I don't think he had. It just wasn't his thing. He wasn't great. He was likable. Bruce Pearl, people can't stand him, and he's campaigning for Auburn. Bruce Pearl's better at breaking down basketball. He's entertaining at times. Sure, he screws up a name too. He called Fran McCaffrey Fran McCartney the other day, so that became a big thing. But I actually think it's an upgrade for CBS, and I think that most of college basketball would scream at me, for suggesting such a thing. I'm sorry. Like, he's actually a better analyst than Jay Wright. There's my hot take.
Is Jay Wright just gone altogether or just minimized?
Yeah, I think, and I don't really, I think he just, I think he's just like, I'm going to go like live on the beach now, you know?
Good for him.
So,
Yeah.
And by the way, here's another part of that. I think I mentioned this, but, you know, people are all, and they're not wrong. They're all over Bruce Pearl. He's campaigning for Auburn, and he still is like, you know, it's like these coaches retire that he's like an associate AD or whatever at Auburn, right? Like they're still paying him like whatever, $300K to like just show up at booster events or something, you know? And then a lot of people are like, oh, by the way, Nick Saban is still on the payroll at Alabama. And do you ever see him on ESPN? So, but let me remind people this: Jay Wright was the same thing. It was the same thing. He retired from coaching. He was on the payroll at Villanova. Like this is, but with Bruce Pearl, it's turned into this huge controversy. And it's like, we do need to be a little more consistent.
Kuharsky, how would you rate Rexrode's rant today?
It wasn't ranty, but it was interesting.
Okay, I'll take that.
I'll throw in a little rant.
Okay.
People who think that the Titans re-signing Julius Chestnut has anything to do with what they're going to do with Jeremiah Love or not do with Jeremiah Love are idiots.
Yeah.
Idiots.
There we go. That's a rant. Right there.
Well, they re-signed Julius Chestnut, so that he plays special teams. That's going to be the thing that gets Tony Pollard cut after they draft Jeremiah. No, it's not. It means nothing. He's the 5th running back on the team, if he's on the team.
Shout out to Julius Chestnut. Congratulations on the deal.
Who thinks this? Who thinks this?
A bunch of people on Twitter.
Another reason I'm glad I'm off that place. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. We got an hour with PK. We got a lot of Titan stuff to get into with him. We'll take your questions for him as well. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com is with us for the next hour. Taking your questions for PK on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Well, PK, you have now, since the last time we've spoken with you, seen the jerseys. You've seen the new logos for the Titans. Overall, what do you make of the design and the reaction that you've seen from the Titans and their rebrand?
I like it. I think it's a significant upgrade, but don't sell me that it's a Tennessee thing. I mean, guitar strings and a couple stars under the armpit and on the back of the collar don't turn a Houston uniform into a distinctly Tennessee thing, which they say. And if people are cool with that, great. And people seem to be cool with that. So a generation removed from not wanting to be Houston, Tennessee Titans fans seem cool with being Houston. And if that's the case, that's fine. But I was here for all of that. And so I can't help but feel some tension because people desperately wanted to get away from that 27 years ago. And in those 27 years, the team clearly failed to root the seeds and to grow something that is uniquely Tennessee. And so now they're going back to something that, listen, the color scheme's terrific. The colors are terrific. But you're kind of starting from where you were in 1997. And if people don't have, if the team certainly doesn't have an issue with that, if the fan base doesn't have an issue with that, and you know, people have pointed out to me, like, kids today don't know who the Oilers were and don't care, and that's fine. But a lot of your dads had a big issue with it in 1997 when they demanded a name change and a uniform change. And so I just see some inherent conflict and tension in that, which strikes me as odd and says something about the growth or lack of growth of the franchise as an independent thing over time. That said, I think they're pretty sharp. The logo is growing on me. I've always been a fan of the color.
Yep.
I liked the uniforms when I was a kid watching the league from the New Jersey area. I'm a big fan of that light blue, having gone to Columbia, which is something very similar. And I think they look better today than they did a week ago.
We I think estimated maybe 80-20, 85-15 the day after in terms of for versus against. But we, like, here's Stephen from Clarksville. He says, stop calling them the Tennessee Titans. That rebrand erased any and every inkling of the meaning of Titan. They will now be referred to as the Music City Oilers. At least that's what the new uniform suggests they want to be called. So, I mean, there are people who are upset, and I think you have it's an important history lesson there that you delivered the day that it happened, PK. That it was such a Bud wanted it to still be the Oilers, right? And everybody's like, no, this is going to be something new, something different. So, do you look at this decision as actually like wanting? I mean, I know what they say. Like you said, they're like, this is distinctly Tennessee. It's like, no, these are the Oilers uniforms. I mean, let's be real. But do you look at it like that's the idea, just almost even trolling Houston a little bit as part of it, or just that they think that people will like and will buy these jerseys up because they look so good and they just have it at their disposal and it's like the best thing you can come up with?
I mean, there's a percentage of trolling Houston in it, clearly. It bothers Houston that the Titans are in these colors. Houston feels ownership of these colors. It's the Houston color in some way, shape, or form. None of the other Houston teams wear it, but the Texans tried to wear it as a third uniform color. They made it a secondary color in that. University Houston tried to wear it and got a cease and desist letter. The Titans are very serious about their ownership of it and their control of it. So that's certainly, at the very least, regarded as a side benefit by Amy Adams Strunk, that Houston is annoyed by it. And look, Houston won in their fight with the Oilers. They didn't build them a stadium, and they left. And Houston then built somebody else's stadium, and they have a pretty good setup there. So this is what the Titans have to hang over Houston's head. Most of these teams that left cities, the Rams from St. Louis, the Chargers from San Diego, the Cardinals from St. Louis, the Browns are a little different, but the Browns from Cleveland, all leave those cities in the dust and never look in the rearview mirror. And for some reason with Houston and the Titans, it's different. Because I think Bud wanted to stay more than most of those teams wanted to stay. And he very clearly lost where he was before he moved, as opposed to all looking forward to where he was winning.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Ed in New Jersey to the program. Ed, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys. I do like the uniform as a longtime Oiler fan. It is the Oilers. I would love the red face mask. And Paul, I read your article about that or post about that.
Yeah, let me just chime in on that really quickly. They were, when we spoke in advance of the event with them, very intentional about the proportionality of the colors. And I came away with the distinct feeling. I mean, they did say something about not wanting to look exactly like the old uniforms with red face masks, but also they wanted the proportionality of the colors to strike kind of the same measure that most of the classic uniforms, the Packers, the Cowboys, all of those strike. And I think a red face mask would have changed the proportionality in a way that they didn't like. Go ahead, Ed.
My question is on Femi. Are we underestimating as a fan base? I mean, a lot of what I'm reading, and fans want another edge solution, whether it be free agency. Are we forgetting that he's even on the team and that he was a second-round pick from this regime and not the previous regime? So my question is, how much is him being picked that high factor into his snap count moving forward next year? And if they were to draft one of these edges real high with number 4, is that an admission that they were wrong on Femi?
No, because the way I'm seeing it from the homework I've done, talking to Blake Bedingfield about where guys fit and putting together this forecasted depth chart, which is at my site, you should check out. Femi slots in Jermaine Johnson's spot. So, they want to be too deep everywhere and roll people, but his game and body type and all of that is more the Jermaine Johnson big end spot, not the lighter end who will play wider, where I think it's Curtis Jacobs right now would slot as the second guy, but there is no first guy.
Yeah.
There's still a hole there.
Well, and by the way, even further on the Femi point, yes, he's a second round pick. Yes, he was picked by this general manager. And yeah, he's going to play this year. But I think if you're heading into the year and you're thinking, well, he's a second round pick last year, so he's got to start. He showed nothing in the first year to make that an easy decision. That's a huge risk to take if you're the Titans to operate from that way.
Yeah, and it's the front office, but it's not the coaching staff too. That's another thing to keep in mind. So yeah, to me, it's it's going to be a big problem. It's a bad deal for Borgonzi if he doesn't take a huge jump this year. But you have to win. You have in this league, if you're worried about stuff like that, if you're giving a guy snaps who isn't earning them because of where you picked him, that's what bad organizations do, right?
There's
that's
a lot
losing bad organizations do.
There's a lot of versatility among these guys that they've put together up front, and some of them probably don't even make the team. They've got so many now. But that rush end spot, the smaller end spot, does not have a lot of bodies there. I've got a blank. Jacob Martin would be the second guy. Jalen Harrell would be the third guy. Ali Gay would be the fourth guy.
Yep.
That's not a big collection of people.
Yep. I think it's very fair. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. Lots more coming with PK. More of your questions on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com is with us. Rexrode claims he has a very important question to ask Kuharsky. I don't know what it is. I'm excited to hear it. So, Joe, the floor is yours.
Could go so many directions.
Yeah, well, I just before we get off the uniform stuff and into more football stuff, it's actually a couple of questions in one. One, what is your deal like attacking T-Rack? And two, what was with this total tantrum you had about poor young Andrew? Like you're still tweeting about what was your little tantrum there? Please explain yourself.
I'm not still tweeting about it. T-Rack.
You just did yesterday.
T-Rack is a absolutely foolish mascot. I've called him a squirrel for 27 years. A squirrel is an upgrade from a raccoon. Listen, just because the state animal is a raccoon, I can't believe how many people defend this. Well, it's the state animal. How could you not like the mascot? It's the state animal. Well, if you're dumb enough to pick a state animal who's digging around in my trash, I can't make up for the state animal being stupid. But I could go at you for picking a stupid mascot. Pick a mascot that's better than one that's digging around in my trash. And for years and years at the beginning, when they made fun of them, they said, it's for the kids. It's for the kids. It's for the kids. Well, I don't want my little kid saying, oh, look at the cute raccoon with rabies digging in my trash. Maybe I'll go pet him. That was a perfect time for them to tie into the Greek mythology and create like a animated caricature like of a Titan, yeah. Zeus. Yes, it's the state animal. Forget that he has rabies and he's digging through your Chinese food takeout garbage in the trash. It's a dumb mascot.
What is the really intelligent state animal of New Jersey, PK?
I have no idea.
What? Okay.
I have no idea. But the Scarlet Knight is a good mascot for Rutgers. It's a knight.
According to AI, state animal of New Jersey is the horse.
Yeah, much prefer a horse, domesticated in Springsteen stables up there. Lots of horses. His daughter, Olympic rider,
bigger poop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, the second thing I have a confession, and I used this in my ethics class the other night. I should have kept my mouth shut. Now, I think that there are members, including Andrew, of the Titans press corps that simply don't understand how things work.
What do you do?
And it's not a matter of having been in a class. It's a matter of common sense. They have an embargoed meeting for us where we see the uniforms and we get information so that we can go write stuff and release it at 8:20 when the release comes out. What you do after that meeting is shut your mouth. You don't go out and tweet, all your AI predictions are wrong. Or tonight's going to be even more exciting than you can imagine. Because what that's doing is telling everybody, I've seen it and you haven't. And it's engagement farming. Bucko got 68,000 likes on his tweet. And I think it's unbecoming. And you can call me a baby or old school or whatever. The meaning of an embargo is between now and the time we tell you that you can go, you do nothing. Nothing. And so then to my discredit, I commented on them commenting, which broke my own ethical rule because I was so pissed off and I got more attention than they did, but everybody was on my side. I should have shut up and done what I said. And these guys are like so nonchalant about it. No. I would never invite you to another embargoed event in your life because you don't understand what an embargo is. And you don't get to decide. They're like, no, it's okay. It doesn't matter. You don't get to decide. The people who embargo the information get to decide.
Well,
and
were they mad?
They weren't happy.
There you go.
Andrew's in trouble with more than just
Andrew,
you.
though, doesn't care. And Andrew, for weeks and weeks, says, what a dumb thing. Shouldn't be a thing. In middle of free agent. But then he's there, front row center, doing the whole thing. Then he's there tweeting about the embargo. I mean, he's just got no structure to his thing. It's just not.
Joe's very happy.
I'm glad I asked.
Joe,
Do you know better than I
the
thought?
Then I didn't mention him on it because I just figured he'd see it or whatever. And then so I sidled up to him. I didn't see him for a while. I argued with Easton and his boss in the room and told them what I thought. And then I saw Buck, later during the thing, and I sidled up to him and I said, I ripped you on Twitter. And he's of course like, yeah, I don't care. And I said, I know you don't care, but I care about being in front of you to face you after I ripped you.
Exactly. Joe, do you know the state animal of Michigan?
Wolverine.
Is it the Wolverine?
No, it's the white-tailed deer.
Oh,
again, far more appropriate than a raccoon. Why would you pick a raccoon?
A lot of people kill those.
State fish is the brook trout, in case you were wondering.
By the way,
man.
T-Rack and I get along perfectly fine.
That's
this
good.
is a playful exchange back and forth, and it's done wonders for T-Rack's profile, quite frankly.
Let's head back to the phone line. Welcome in Dave to the program. Dave, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning. I never thought I'd follow Raby raccoons and embargoes.
They should name him that, Raby the raccoon.
You never know what's going to happen.
Look, and this guy is so mysterious.
Raby.
This guy's so mysterious they had to put the name of the animal in the name of the mascot to make it clear what he is.
Raby would be amazing.
Go ahead, Dave.
And they wear blindfolds too. I have I think I'm on the love train. My question or comment is, if we look at our quarterback drafted first last year, we thought that maybe the quarterback class wasn't great, but that was where we were. Then we look at this year or look at last year, the performance wasn't outstanding, but he was a rookie. And then we look at our receivers, which is probably not the all-pro list of receivers we would like. And so maybe we need the love train. Maybe we need, if he is dynamic as people think, maybe we need him to carry the offense versus the reality of where we are with receivers and our quarterback, who, by the way, did get injured at the end of last year.
Yep. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate the call. Yeah,
and Love's a good underneath pass catcher. Yeah. You pair him with Wan'Dale Robinson. It plays to the strength of, Cam's not the most accurate deep ball thrower. You layer that guy in a season later, but it all makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't.
Let me ask you this. So Wan'Dale Robinson, we talked about him last week. Now, I am under no illusion that Wan'Dale Robinson is like some number one wide receiver or anything. But I do think some of the conversation around him has probably swung the other way too far, which is like he's just some dude. I mean, he did catch 92 balls last year and 93 balls the year before. So, I think we've gone from maybe overhyping Wan'Dale Robinson before this whole thing started to now people are acting like this is just some fourth wide receiver that they've signed. And I think we've gone too far the other way.
I agree with you, and I think their intent is obviously to maximize him. And also, I think the number was 43%. He lined up 43%, not in the slot.
Yeah.
So he's not, they'll feature him there, obviously, and that's his best spot, but he's not going to predictably be there every single snap. So they'll have opportunities for other people there. They'll be in two wide sometimes when I'm sure he'll be in that package. There's reason to be optimistic about him. So we'll see. And if he's with Love and they're both on the field, they should do some inventive, creative stuff where Cam can get rid of the ball quick, which would help you with that offensive line, which we still have a lot of uncertainty about, where they're getting rid of the ball in a quick way into the hands of some guys that can make the first guy miss and do some things for you.
So when they're in three wide, they may add someone, obviously, and they may add someone high, and maybe that changes things. But right now, I mean, it's Wan'Dale, Ridley, and DK, right?
Yeah. With Isle Manor would be the first next guy. And then unless I'm forgetting somebody, you'd get into the Bryce Oliver area.
Yep. No, I think that's right. By the way, a lot of people pointing out how smart raccoons are on the text line right now.
Some are saying smarter than
DK. The way they open the lid of garbage cans is very, very crafty and smart.
I mean, what's smarter, a raccoon or a horse? Seriously.
I'll take a horse.
Well, yeah, you take a horse. A horse is, nice looking. People.
Yeah, describe a horse, Joe.
I mean, a horse is more of a
Pretty,
majestic animal.
nicely.
They brush the hair.
Fantastic
brush
on
the
a
mane.
beach.
Great form when they gallop.
Fantastic
Yeah.
on a beach.
But is a horse
Good
actually
in the
smarter than a
field.
raccoon? Is
It's
a
got
horse
a bigger
smarter than
brain.
raccoon?
I'm going to go there. Bigger brain.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a fair
Put
question.
that up
for
as a poll.
You and other
Is a
New
horse
Jerseyites.
smarter than a raccoon?
I'm going through state animals here. I mean, you got the moose in Alaska, California, the
makes sense.
grizzly bear. So
Every one of these that you've mentioned so far is
great.
preferable.
Yeah, I mean the Washington D.C. state animal is the big brown bat. So there is
not a
that.
state.
That's not as good.
Well,
It's a-
it counts in this discussion. I'm reading from USA Today. It's on there.
District animal.
Well,
the
let's
district
go
animal.
to
Big
other
brown bat?
states
Yeah,
that
God.
would do ridiculous things. Hit me with like Alabama and Mississippi.
All right. Well, Alabama is the black bear.
Better.
Mississippi
That's kinda cool.
is, let's see here. Mississippi's state animal is also, it's the white-tailed deer and the
Brett
red
Favre.
fox.
Both better. They've got
The red
two,
fox.
and they beat us at both.
The state water mammal for Mississippi is the bottlenose dolphin. And how about this?
How could Mississippi have a dolphin?
The
They are on
official
the ocean. PK.
official animal for Missouri is the Missouri mule, which is a hybrid horse and donkey.
Better.
What do we make of that?
Better
What?
than a raccoon.
Not better.
Is that like a liger? Like a fake animal?
The Missouri mule, a hybrid horse / donkey.
I get
I'd
one of
prefer a
those every
Moscow
time.
mule.
Every time I sidle up to a bar, I
We
get one of
we
those.
got to get a little bit more creative on the state animal stuff, though. There's a lot of white-tailed deer. A lot of white-tailed deer out here.
Really? So
Yeah.
you
People
don't
are
have- you
working
don't-
on minimizing the population
Yeah.
of those.
So you don't have to.
No other
there's
raccoons, though, that
There's
I'm
no
seeing.
exclusivity. Huh?
No,
It's just some states.
a lot of black bears and white-tailed deer.
We'll just copy Connecticut.
Yeah.
Huh.
No. Well, that's why Tennessee went with the raccoon. Nobody else will choose this.
I don't see a single other vote for raccoon on here. Although, I mean, the Missouri mule, I think, may get my vote.
It's for the
615.
kids.
Those
It's for the kids.
things scare the crap out of me. Seriously.
Tony
in all
Wiley,
seriousness.
the PR
Raccoons?
director back at the
Oh
beginning.
yeah. See one in the day, run away.
See?
I mean, they're not
You
nice.
run away. But we're telling our kids, go sit with that guy over there. Let me take your picture.
We got to call for a raccoon. Smarter than horse.
Smarter than horse,
Who's-
probably.
According to who?
I didn't get his name.
Okay. there
Was
we
he
go.
a veterinarian?
But raccoons apparently
Was
you
he
know,
a zoologist?
they have the thumbs. They
Sure.
got some thumb usage and they wash their food.
I mean, my parents had
Horses,
two
you know.
chickens.
They
Like
wash
to
their
run
food.
around in there.
Never mind that their
poop.
food is
the
decayed
garbage.
for 5 days in my garbage can. They clean it up. Geniuses.
I've seen
There's a
idea.
flaw in the
firsthand.
system.
There's a raccoon that killed like 8 of my parents' chickens one time. It was gruesome.
Oh my god.
Kind of vicious. Kind of vicious. We'll get to more of your thoughts for PK coming up
They
next.
clean
Robby
them?
and Rexrode. 102.5
Wash
the
their food.
game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky with us here on the program. A lot of reaction to state animals on our text line right now. One texter says, all we need is Robert Saleh in an interview saying the front line is going to swarm the quarterback like a pack of rabid raccoons, and I'll die laughing. Do need Saleh to work this in here at some point.
Did you see the detailed post about the intelligence
of the raccoon? Oh, they're from
Yeah,
AI. Yeah, I saw it.
I'll quickly summarize. They're generally considered smarter than horses, at least in terms of problem solving and cognitive flexibility. Remarkably large brains. They can remember solutions to tasks for up to 3 years. Dexterous front paws. They manipulate locks and latches. But horses have strong emotional intelligence. So thank you,
how do they determine how long a raccoon can remember a solution to a task?
I like an emotionally intelligent animal.
Well, I mean, I guess if they did something and then if
they tracking this thing for 3 years.
Well, if they're at the zoo, they
this
could
guy
be like,
unlocked the trash
trot it
can
out.
3 years ago, and 3 years later he remembered how to do it. It's amazing.
They do
That's the
study
puzzle solving I need out of an animal is how to open the bin that I have my trash cans in to prevent him from getting in. And to satisfy my HOA.
Let's head back to the phone line. Welcome in Peyton to the program. Peyton, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, fellas. My total take on Jeremiah Love is I've had the privilege of watching him for the past 2 years, being a Notre Dame fan, and he's the best player in the draft. And if you have a chance to take that caliber of a player at 4 when you don't need a quarterback, I think it's a no-brainer. If people disagree with that, I encourage them to go watch every Notre Dame game for the past 2 years and just remember that there's a guy back there by the name of Kadarian Price who he's split carries with. And had Kadarian Price not been the backfield and had Notre Dame made the playoffs, he's probably your Heisman winner because he put up ridiculous numbers while splitting carries 50-50 with probably the second best running back in this class.
Didn't Jason White win a Heisman Trophy? I mean, I'm not drafting guys based on winning a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, Heisman Trophy. There's a lot of Heisman Trophy winners who do nothing in the NFL. Look, and this is unscientific. Okay, I think Jeremiah Love's great. He's a great player. He's going to be good in the NFL. But he needs to be, like Saquon. I don't think he's Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley coming out of Penn State was a little bit higher level player. And again, I absolutely could be wrong here.
Where do you put him with the last two big high first rounders, Bijan and Genty?
Yeah, I don't think he's Bijan either. Now, look,
I need.
So here's a great example of me. I may end up being wrong on Genty because he wasn't great last year. I mean, they aren't good, but you still hoped maybe he would on his own move the needle a little bit more, and he wasn't. He wasn't great. So maybe I'm wrong because I really thought he was a guy worthy of top half of the first round. I'm not saying Love isn't. I just, again, it's like you do have to factor in I love best player. Best player is what they should do. But if best player is close and it's Love and it's close and it's Bailey, then whatever there has to be part of your formula also has to be the position, right? I mean, I think it has to be not that it's a need position, just the fact that we just saw the Super Bowl MVP, as you said earlier, BK, just sign with someone else. They let him walk. Like, you can get good backs all the time in this league for cheap, and you will not go out and get yourself a great edge player ever unless you draft that player. That's right. That's reality.
I think you also factor in somewhere. Is he a 5-year player? Is he a 10-year player? And with the back, he's more likely to be a 5-year player. And with the end, he's more likely to be a 10-year player.
Yep.
If things pan out for you.
Well, and there's, people keep focusing on, how does he stack up with Robinson? How does he stack up? I mean, the real question in the short term is, how does he stack up with Arvell Reese? How does he stack up with David Bailey? Because that's where you're making your decision, right? Like, if one of those two guys are available, and I guess you could throw Bain in there too, even though it feels like he's kind of losing some momentum here. But those two guys, like if Reese is available at number 4 or if Bailey is available at number 4. How much better is Jeremiah Love than those guys? That's what it really comes down to.
And there's been talk lately, and you never know how much of this is smoke, about teams coming up to Arizona's spot.
Yep.
And Austin Fort's shown a willingness to deal, and certainly Arizona needs a lot. Come up to Arizona's spot, get Love. You get Love there, that leaves one of these defensive ends available for the Titans, and maybe they've been working to make that happen this whole time. From, Matthew Berry saying, the Titans love, for since the combine.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So we talked about center and right guard, and we'll see what happens on the Zeitler front. From the start of the center kind of discussion here, since Cushenberry's been gone, I have been against the idea of drafting one to play with having a rookie center and a second-year quarterback. I don't love that combo. However, I don't love the options that are right now at the disposal for the Titans. And whether that's, Schlottman that's coming in, whether, who knows what they do with Jackson Slater and where he ends up being, whether that's a guard or a center. So I guess what I'm saying, PK, is if they end up finding a center option that's a better player in the 4th or 5th round than what they currently have on the roster, I'm more open to that than I thought I would be, even knowing that I still just really don't like the idea of a rookie center and a second-year quarterback. Where do you come down on that?
Funny how you're forced into that. I would think the ideal scenario now is probably Schlottman, Slater, and then a fight between guys that you could get in the 4th round. Maybe Sam Hecht from Kansas State, Jake Slaughter from Florida. Slater and Slaughter would be a pain in the ass.
Yes, it would.
Logan Jones
It's
from
also
Iowa.
Schlottman, by the way. You said Schlottman wrong too.
No,
for the
my
record.
bad. Schlottman.
Slotman.
I was telling. That's how you say it. So
Where'd you get that?
Just trying to help PK.
No, that's good. Where'd you get that?
It's actually been mentioned on multiple shows on this station.
Okay.
I think I heard it on Lyman, but I think I heard DVD talking about it too.
I'll need to look that up. Logan Jones from Iowa, Brian Parker from Duke. Now, I would see, if one of those guys you like and you think can contend out of the gate, I would say best case scenario is he's a Nate Davis and he's ready in a month. Schlottman, now I don't know it. And now
Rexrode's totally ruined it.
I mean, he played very well when he played for John Michael Schmitz, is it?
Sure.
Now I'm all over the place.
Let's have some more name fun.
He played 4 games at the end of the season for the Giants, and he played very well. So maybe he's better than we think. I'm expecting Sala, Dayball, and Brasillo to get better play out of some guys. I don't think when they signed him, they said, hey, he's our starting center. I think they said, if we need him to compete, he can compete for the job. And then the free agent market at center went berserk on them, some of it before they could even get in on it, McGovern. And so now they may be in that situation. But center is not the ideal position, like you're saying, Robbie, to have a new guy. But if they get Zeitler back and they had a 3-way competition at center, you can have worse case scenarios.
You need, to me, you need more possible answers, because right now they don't have a surefire answer.
Yep.
And I like, if they can get someone to develop who's good, then that would be good. Jabari on the YouTube chat says loves Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think he is. Now, if he is, then draft him. But I just don't know. And Richard says, how many GMs and coaches make it 10 years? I don't see that as a factor for the guys making the pick. But the point is, you're trying to add long-term players that are definitely going to get a second deal. And you hope to be the GM signing that player to the second deal.
Yeah. Well, even if you're not, your job is the long-term health of the organization. You think he's only picking if this guy's good for 3 years, that's fine with me.
Right.
That's not the way you extend your shelf life.
And there are GMs in this league who have been in their jobs more than 10 years too, by the way.
State mammal for Connecticut.
He's only in his second year.
State mammal for Connecticut, the sperm whale. We have, let's see here.
I like that.
The gray fox of Delaware. Some people don't have
Hartford
a
Whalers.
state animal.
See that?
Indiana, no state mammal. Iowa, no state mammal. So we got to get on the ball on that front.
Indiana's state animal is Andrew.
Does Indiana have a state fish as opposed to a state
That's a good
mammal?
question.
Does it
It's
have
just
a
listing nothing.
state reptile?
By the way, New York state mammal is the beaver. So there you go.
Beaver. I mean,
Wow.
virtually every animal you've named in my personal catalog is superior to a raccoon. I can't think of one you named that I wouldn't want my kid to have a stuffed animal of above a raccoon.
That's a
I'm afraid of beavers too, but hey, you do you, buddy.
615-737-1025. One more segment with PK coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com is with us here on the program, taking your thoughts for PK at 615-737-1025.
We were just talking. I am anti-trade for the Titans almost across the board. But the Dolphins are trading or getting rid of everybody. And A-Chain from Miami is on the board. If the Titans could get him as a running back, play him, Pollard, and Spears, I don't know what the price tag on that deal is. But, if he's
I love this idea.
If he's in the 4th, 5th range because they're dumping people, I'd make that trade in a second.
You'd give him this year's 4th?
Yeah.
I would.
I think I would. You would not?
No, I would.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. Absolutely. Then he's a dynamic, very good player. We know what he is. Then there's no, obviously the Jeremiah Love stuff is over. And, I don't think you're going to regret that. I think Jeremiah Love's going to be a good player in this league. I don't think he's going to be such a great player that you're going to be like, oh my God, what have we done? I just don't think, I don't think he's that.
And
but
this was my proposal from the beginning. I thought, the free agent crop was going to be good. Then, you got some tags and some other and re-signings and stuff, which is what always happens in a free agent position that looks good. But my proposal was you get a guy for another 2 years, the way you kind of got Pollard. And then in 2 years, your roster should be healthy enough that you go back into the draft and you get your next Eddie George, Chris Johnson, Derrick Henry. Then you have the luxury of being able to get back in that kind of rhythm where you get your 6 or 8 year running back, should you be able to find him. You're not forcing it, but looking for it.
Oh, and by the way, this is all going to be fascinating again here this time next week, Joe, when Ohio State has their pro day and Carnell Tate goes from running a 4.53 to a 4.46 or whatever it is, and all of a sudden everybody will be mock drafting him to the Titans again.
Maybe, yeah. It is like there's just no talk of.
It's totally
no
gone.
talk that I see of receivers even going in the top 10.
Other than Field
right?
Yates. Yeah.
By the way, A-Chain's contract is unbelievably reasonable. Yeah. I don't know why they would be looking to get rid of him. He's due $5.76 base salary this year.
It has been reported that he's up for sale, or just that's your assumption?
No, I mean, there's stuff floating around on Twitter that he's up for sale. His cap hits $6 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes him more.
Somebody.
I think that makes him
Malik.
I think that makes him more expensive than a 4th.
I would agree.
You may be right. Yeah, you need to give Malik Willis a little bit of help, right?
You would think.
No. This whole Malik thing is bring in Malik, get rid of absolutely everybody else.
Yeah, he'll carry the whole thing.
Malik will run and throw to invisible people.
He'll run the option, but never pitch because there's no running back.
Yeah, it's been a very informative segment with you today. We appreciate the commentary on both football and the state.
Look,
state
I'm not thinking I could change the state AM. I'm just campaigning to change the mascot. They blew the opportunity for that. But we got guitar strings. Don't block the box. Be sure to lock your locks.
That does it for us today on the program. PK with us every Wednesday morning from 8 to 9. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.